Hello everyone, welcome to this class. I hope you're all doing good and in the best of your health. I believe that you have watched all the classes of concepts of laws of motion that we'll be discussing in today's session. Today's class will be talking about the questions which are based upon NEET pattern exercise. We all know that in your NEET examination, question comes of objective type in which you'll be having one option as the correct answer. And for each correct answer, you'll be getting plus 4 marks. For each incorrect answer, you will be suffering minus 1 marks. So in today's class, I will talk about how to apply the laws of motion concept in the coming questions and how we can increase our accuracy as we go with the concepts. And as you increase your accuracy, you'll find that gradually you'll increase your speed of solving the question. That is what is required in your NEET examination. We require both speed and accuracy. So first of all, target accuracy. You know the concept, solve question, get accuracy, and then you talk about speed. Then work on your speed. You will think that as you gain accuracy, speed will automatically come with the practice. Now let's take the first question of the day. We have the first question: the average force necessary to stop a bullet of mass 20 gram moving with a speed of 250 meter per second as it penetrates into wood for a distance of 12 centimeter is A 2.2 into 10 to the power 3 Newton, B 3.2 into 10 to the power 3 Newton, C 4.2 into 10 to the power 3 Newton, and D 5.2 into 10 to the power 3 Newton. We got 4 options. The question says that what is the force required? We can see that a bullet is fired which has its mass is given 20 gram and it's moving at the speed of 250 meter per second. Now as it penetrates into wood for a distance of 12 centimeter, what will be the average force required to stop it? Now first of all, we can do it with two concepts. We can use what will be the, as it enters, it will be having some speed. Now that means it's going to exert a force on the on the wood. Now next thing, it's penetrating into wood for a distance of 12 centimeter. So during that 12 centimeter, deceleration is created on the bullet due to the wood. As deceleration is created, that means a force will be acting on the bullet. For the average force, can we write mass into deceleration? That we can do. Or what we can do, we can actually use the concept of work and energy. We can see that the kinetic energy possessed by the bullet will be half mv square. And since it overcomes this kinetic energy, as it penetrates through the wood, it overcomes the kinetic energy, we can use the concept of law of conservation of energy. But since we have just started, we have not gone through with the chapter of work and energy, so we are not going to use the concept of law of conservation of energy. We will be using the simple concept. As it moves, it's moving the speed of 250 meter per second. It strikes, it penetrates, its final velocity is 0. Let's first try to find out what is the deceleration produced due to the wooden block on the bullet. So we will talk about what is the deceleration produced. So its initial velocity is given as 250 meter per second. Its final velocity is 0. This is what we are getting from the given information. It stops. Now the distance traveled in the wooden block is 12 centimeter. This is what we can use. Now we all know that we can use V square is equal to U square minus 2as. Why I am using minus? Because it's a case of deceleration. So remember, it's a case of deceleration. That's why we are using deceleration. So that's why we are using minus 2as. So we need to find out what is the deceleration produced. All the values we are aware of. S, U, V, we are aware about all the variables value. So for 2as can be written as U square minus V square. From here, A, that is the deceleration produced, will come out to be U square minus V square upon 2s. U square, that is 250 whole square minus 0 divided by 2s. Now 2 into 12 centimeters, so I am writing it 0.12 meter. First thing we got, so we can write here, this should be equal to 250 whole square. So I am writing it's 250 whole square divided by 2 into 0.2, it will come 0.24. First thing we can use in this way, we got the deceleration produced. Now as it enters the wooden block, we need to find out what is the average resistive force applied by the wooden block on the bullet. So for the force applied by the block, that will be given as mass into deceleration. Since we are talking about the resistive force that would be applied on the bullet, its average force is what has been asked. So we are using the deceleration produced. although this is the average d acceleration that has been produced, okay, because as it penetrates there might be change in the d acceleration produced at different instants of time, but the average d acceleration produced will be actually evaluated in this way. Let's go ahead. Now force equal to mass into acceleration, mass is just 20 grams, so 0.02 kg multiplied with 250 whole square divided by 0.24. This is what we need to resolve. Again 0.02, 0.24, that will give you 12. So you can simply come to the value 250 whole square divided by 12, and finally you can solve it. You'll be getting somewhere around 5.2 into 10 to power 3 Newton. All the variables, their values were put in SI units. So the answer that we'll be getting, that will be in SI units. So Newton I am directly using 5.2 into 10 to the power 3 Newton. Let's check the answer. It's 5.2 into 10 to the power 3 Newton. You can check 5.2 into 10 to the power 3 Newton. So option number D is the right answer. You can check with the calculation. Rest all the options will be incorrect. The calculation I have left at your end that you can solve. I'm not taking time in doing the calculation portion. Now I believe that you have understood how to do it by the de-acceleration method. We can also use the law of conservation of energy. Most of you will be aware about law of conservation of energy. I'm giving you just an equation how you can solve alternatively and easily without taking more time. Since we have not reached the chapter on work energy, I have not discussed it. Or you can use law of conservation of energy. Law of conservation of energy states that the loss in kinetic energy will be equal to work done by the wooden block on the bullet. So loss in kinetic energy will be equal to work done on bullet by the wooden block, or work done by work done by wooden block. Loss in kinetic energy will be what? Half mv square, where v is the initial speed, or let's use with proper notation, let's use as half mu square is equal to F into S. Force we need to find out. This will turn out to be F is equal to half mu square divided by S. This is what is required in this given equation. Again you solve it, you keep all the values, you solve it, you will get again the same answer, that is 5.2 into 10 to the power 3 Newton. So that calculation I am leaving at you, and you have to just only input the values of each of the variables. Both the method we have discussed, and you can apply any one. The energy method will be quite simple and easy for us to apply and reach on to the result. Let me just clear the board and we will go with the next question. Let's go ahead with the next question of the class. Second, a man slides down a light rope whose breaking strength is eta times his weight. It's given that he's coming down through a rope and the rope breaks if the tension in the rope increases eta times his weight. Next, what should be his maximum acceleration so that the rope just not breaks? We need to find out with what maximum acceleration he can come down so that the rope is stiff and it will not break. So we need not to cross the tension, the maximum tension in the rope, which will break the rope. A g 1 minus eta, B eta g, C g upon 1 plus eta, and D g upon 1 minus eta. We got 4 options. First of all, let me show you the diagram, what scenario we are actually talking about. Let me show you the figure. We have a rope. We have a rope and a man is coming down. A man is coming down through the rope. This is the actual scenario. Now see what forces will be acting on the man. You think here. First of all, man will be pulling the rope downward. He is holding the rope, he is coming down, he will be pulling the rope downward. In reply back from Newton's third law of motion, the rope will be pulling the man upwards. So here you see this force on man will be acting the reactionary force. I'm marking it as tension T, that will be acting due to the force that is actually created in the rope. Now ground will be attracting man with a force mg. This force is tension T that I have marked on the man that will be acting on the man due to the rope. So if I take man as the system, we will be having two forces, tension T and mg. Two forces acting on the man. Now his acceleration is a. So let us write the equation from Newton's second law of motion. So using second law of motion, from Newton's second law of motion, we know that net force is equal to mass into acceleration. F net is equal to mass into acceleration. Now you see here, we can write mg minus t is equal to mass into acceleration, one equation we obtained. Now t we don't know. Let us try to see the question how we can obtain the value of t. You see here, a man slides down a rope, light rope, whose braking strength is eta times. That means the maximum case we need to think about. We need to apply the case of maximum tension that could be generated in the wire, in the rope. What should be his maximum acceleration? We need to find out the acceleration. Now see, the maximum tension in the rope will be eta times of his weight. So I am using T max is equal to eta into mg. His weight will be mg. Apply here T max as eta into mg. You will get the required answer. A we need to evaluate. So mg minus T max is equal to mass into A max. That is maximum acceleration. So A max will turn out to be mg minus T max divided by m. This is what we can obtain. Now mg minus T max divided by m. T max I have written as eta mg. Put the values. Maximum acceleration with which he can descend, that will be given as mg minus eta times of mg divided by m. So here m and m will be cancelled out. We will be having g 1 minus eta. This will be the maximum acceleration. Now one thing, can you guess something from this equation, 1 minus eta? Now g is acting downwards, he is coming downwards. So eta should be how much? It should be less than 1 to keep this term positive. It should be less than 1. If it exceeds more than 1, then this term will be negative and he will not be moving upward. So eta will be always less than 1. So it will be 0.2, 0.4, 0.6, 0.8, something like that. It cannot be more than 1 as per the given answer. So we are getting g 1 minus eta. Let's check the options. Option number A, g 1 minus eta, clearly suits with the answer that we are obtaining. Rest, eta g, g upon 1 plus eta, g upon 1 minus eta, all are incorrect. So I believe that this would make you understand how to use the concept of laws of motion in doing such questions. Let's go ahead. Now prior to that, just let me clear the board for you all. Next question of the class, we have third one. A player caught a cricket ball of mass 150 gram. It's given that a player caught a ball of mass 150 gram which was moving with a velocity of 20 meter per second. The velocity of the ball is provided, that is 20 meter per second. If the catching process is completed in 0.1 second, the blow exerted by the ball on the hands of the player is. We need to find out how much force the ball has exerted on the hands of the ball, on the hands of the boy, his palm, how much force the ball exerts. You all would have played cricket, you all would have played football also. If you have played cricket, if you when catch the ball, you will find that ball exerts a force on your palm. You can feel the effect of the force. And if you have played as a goalkeeper during football sessions, when you hold the ball, when you actually catch the ball, the football, you'll find that a force will be exerted on your palms. Very oftenly, you would have done all these things. So let's see how you can evaluate how much force you are going to actually be affected by catching all these balls. Now you see here, its mass is given 150 gram. Let us see if mass is light, then force is more, or if mass is more, then force is more. Let's try to see that. We all know that if mass is more, you would have observed that your hand feels more force. Next thing, it's also given that time. So we will have one more idea. If time is less, while doing the catching the ball, if the impact time is less, then more force will be exerted, or if impact time is more, then more force will be exerted on your hand. Then we will learn a very interesting thing also with this question, which I will discuss after solving the question. Let's go ahead. Now its velocity is 20 meter per second and final velocity is 0. So if I write initial momentum, that will be m into u, and since the ball stops, so we can mention the final momentum is equal to 0. Change in momentum will be what? That will be final momentum minus initial momentum. It comes out to be 0 minus mu. Let's talk about the magnitude. So we'll be using modulus of change in momentum, that will be m into u. Now we have to put the values only. Force, we all know that force is given as change in momentum upon time interval, the time interval during which the momentum changed. So here I have to use the magnitude, so I am using mod delta p. This will come out to be mu divided by delta t. Mass is given as 150 grams. Clearly you can identify mass is 150 gram. U is 20 meter per second. 150 gram can be written as 0.15 kg multiplied with 20 meter per second divided by 0.1. All the units are in SI units. See, speed is 20 meter per second. Let's try to solve this. We'll be having, this will approximately be, if I just remove this will be 200. Now 15 into 30 Newton. This is what we observe. Now one thing can you see, time is in the denominator. Time is in the denominator. That means more the time you take to catch the ball, less will be the force that the ball is going to exert on your hand. So what you do whenever you play, when you want to catch the ball, try to shift your hand backwards so that the impact time can be increased. Your hands, the pain on your hands will be reduced. That's why during your cricket session also you'll find that the cricketers, while catching the ball, they actually move their hand backwards so that the impact time can be increased and the suffering that they will be having on their palms, that can be reduced to a great extent. Same happens for football goalkeeper also. While he catches, he takes the hand backward. That is what we need to do. If you just hold your hand at the same point, you will feel the maximum impact. Your hands will feel the pain maximum because force will be maximum on your palms. This is what you need to take care of. So 30 Newton is the answer, and I discussed the time also and mass also. You can see that mass is directly proportional with the force that the ball applies. So heavier the ball, more is the force that your palms gonna suffer. So 30 Newton, option number B matches with the right answer. Rest A, C, D are incorrect. So this is how you can solve such questions. Next question of the class. Fourth one, two blocks A and B. You can see two blocks A and B of masses 3m and m respectively. 3m and m respectively are connected by a massless and inextensible string. You can see that they are connected by massless and inextensible string. You can see here. The whole system is suspended by a massless spring as shown in figure. See that there is a spring and the whole system is suspended through this spring. The magnitudes of acceleration of A and B immediately after the string is cut are respectively. So what you are going to do, you are going to take a scissor. If I draw a scissor to identify what the scenario that is going to happen, this is going to happen if I draw a scissor and we are going to cut this string. If you cut this string, quite obvious, you can say that B will come down, but what will be the force acting on the B, we need to comment on that, and what force acts on B, we need to comment on that. Then only we can find the acceleration of each of the blocks. Given that, we need to find out acceleration of A and B. A is G, B is G by 3, A is G by 3, B is G, A is G, B is G, A is G by 3 and B G by 3. We need to identify that. So before cutting, let's see that what forces are acting on each of the blocks and what is the extension in the spring. See here, before cutting the string, this is the scenario that you can clearly see. We will be having block A hanging, then we are having a string, then we are having block B. I believe that you can clearly identify this scenario. This is what is happening. Now you see here the masses are given as 3m and m. You can see clearly A is 3m and B is m. Now a spring would be stretched. There will be tension in this string. So if I draw a free body diagram of B, if I draw FBD of B, we will be having forces acting on it will be tension in the string and mg downwards. So tension in the string T will be equal to mg. One thing is clear, T will be equal to mg, that will be acting all along the string. So we got that. Now let's talk about what is the stretch in the length. Let's say the spring is stretched from its natural length through a length x. L0 is the natural length of spring. That is what we have made here. This is the natural length. And this part is the extension in the spring from the natural length. Spring forces, I believe that you all are knowing how to use spring forces. Now see, we can write that the spring is pulling the A object upward with a force K into X, where K will be the spring constant, and on A, see here on A, the force due to wire will be acting mg downwards because tension is acting on the block. Still we have not cut the string. So if I make FBD of A, we can see that K into X will be acting upward, and one more force that will be acting, that will be 3 mg. Why I have made this? Although I have shown it small, you can actually make out. On A, its weight 3 mg will be acting downwards. Due to the tension in string, T mg will be acting downwards. Due to the spring, Kx will be acting upwards. That is what we can say. Now initially the system was in equilibrium. Spring will be, this object A is in equilibrium. We can write that 3 mg plus mg is equal to Kx, or we can say 4 mg equals to Kx. This is what we can write initially. Now the string is cut. As we cut the string, see what is happening. As string is cut, so block B sails down. It will come down, and the only force acting on will be mg. So acceleration of block B will be force mg by its mass. So that will be equal to g. So we got B will descend. We will come down with an acceleration that is equal to x due to gravity, and that is g. Next thing, for A, if I talk about, for A, or since we got the value for B, let me rub the board. This part we do not require. B I have marked out. It is g coming downwards. For A, string is cut. The forces that will be acting, try to understand. First of all, Kx was acting upwards, and Kx is equal to 4 mg, that's acting upwards, and 3 mg will be acting downwards. This is what we know about A. String is cut, tension has got no role to play. So its acceleration, if I mark A upwards, so we'll be having Kx minus 3 mg is equal to 3m into A. So Kx minus 3 mg, Kx is 4 mg minus 3 mg is equal to 3 ma. A I have used here for acceleration of A. M cancel out. 4g minus 3g is g. A comes out to be g by 3, and g by 3 we have taken direction upward as positive. So A will be having acceleration g by 3 upwards, B will be having acceleration g downwards. This is how we have solved. See, what we have done in this problem is stepwise we have solved. First of all, talked about equilibrium. We got that the spring was stretched and kx that was acting on the spring force, that is equal to 4 mg. We reached here by making the free body diagram of B, the free body diagram of A. Next thing, as the string is cut, for B I have shown you already, this string has got no role to play as the string is cut on B or on A. Tension will be no more, B will be freely falling downwards. It does not matter whether the spring is attached. But the case of A will be different. As you have cut the string, the forces on A will be acting kx 4 mg upwards and 3 mg downwards. So kx minus 3 mg 3 ma, so A comes out to be g by 3 upwards. Let us check the answer. A is having g by 3 and B is having g. So you see here clearly A is having g by 3 and B is g. B option is the right answer. Rest incorrect, incorrect, incorrect. This is how we have to solve such kind of question. This was a very good question. Question can of some nature of this nature can appear in your examination. So do practice, do see how we are doing it, and do learn. I hope that this is quite clear to you all and you have understood how to solve such kind of question. Now let me tell you one more thing as a regular part of our practice. Do practice more questions because that will increase your accuracy. Don't avoid solving questions because whenever you solve problems, then only you will gain efficiency in your chapter. So keep solving problems, that is the main crux point of gaining accuracy on the day of your examination. Next thing, fifth one. A heavy uniform chain lies on a horizontal table top. This heavy uniform chain lies on a horizontal table top. If the coefficient of friction between the chain and the table surface is 0.25, coefficient of friction between the chain and the table surface is 0.25, then the maximum length of the chain that can hang over one edge of the table is. We need to find out what is the maximum length of the chain that can be hanged on over the one edge of the table is. A 20%, B 25%, C 35%, D 15%. We need to find out how much part can be actually maximum length that the chain that can hang. We need to find out what maximum part can hang. See here, this is the table. Let us say this is the table. Over it, we have placed a chain and some part is hanging. Now you see here, from this part, if you further increase, this friction will give up and then the entire chain will come down. This is what the scenario says. Let us say the length of chain is capital L. Length of chain is equal to capital L, and let us say the hanging part of chain, length of hanging part be x. Let length of hanging part be x. That is, the hanging part length is equal to x. That is, this length is given as x and this length is given will be automatically L minus x. Now see, frictional force will be acting only on this part, not on this part. Frictional force will be acting on this part, not on this part. If you are thinking that friction force is independent of area, yes, it is independent of area, it doesn't matter. But the normal reaction provided on this part will be only due to this part which is on the table, not on this part. Normal reaction will not play any role to support its vertical weight. Only it will be acting for this part. So see, the normal reaction, if I mark here, for this part there is less space. If I say this is normal reaction, the normal reaction will be equal to the weight of this part. That will be equal to total mass, if it is m, total length is L, multiplied with the part over the edge of on the table, that will be L minus x. This is the mass, multiplied with g, you will be getting the normal reaction. So frictional force mu into n, F max, we are talking about limiting case, F max mu into n. So mu into m L minus x g divided by L. This is what you will be getting, the maximum friction force. Now you see here, we need to find out the maximum length of the chain that can hang over one edge of the table is. A heavy uniform chain lies on a horizontal tabletop. It's given that mass is not provided, it's a heavy chain, and 0.25 is the friction coefficient of friction. Mu we have to use 0.25. Now you see here, this frictional force will be acting on this one along this direction. F max will be acting along this direction. This has to support its weight so that it will not fall. Now the weight of this part will be how much? Weight of this part, quite obvious. Let's say weight of hanging part is W. So weight of hanging part, if that is W, so W will be equal to total mass per unit length multiplied with x, that is the length hanging, multiplied with g. So this weight has to be balanced by the maximum friction force. So now what you do, F max is equal to W, apply here, it has to be balanced by this one. So mu into m multiplied with L minus x divided by L and g here, and here you will be getting m by L xg. Now solve this for the value of x. L and L will be cancelled out, m and m cancels out, and g cancels out. We are having mu into L minus x is equal to x. This is what we are getting. Mu into L minus x is equal to x. Let me just write in a straight line. Mu into L minus x is equal to x. This is what we are obtaining. Quite clear, we can say that mu into L is equal to x1 plus mu obtained. Now put up the values. Put up the values, we'll be getting x by L. X by L will be equal to mu upon 1 plus mu. Mu is 0.25. 1 plus mu will come out to be 1.25. Quite obvious, you can get. From here, you'll be getting 1 by 5. This will come out to be 1 by 5. So if you convert into percentage, we have to find out maximum length in comparison to total length. In percentage form, we have to find out. X by L is 1 by 5. So in percentage form, if I write down, let me use this part. I believe that you would have noted down this part. So I'm rubbing it. In percentage form, if we find out, we will be having x by L multiplied with 100%. We will be getting the required result, that is equal to 1 by 5 into 100%. So only 20% part of it can be made to hang. If the coefficient of friction is 0.25, you can only hang the 20%, only 1/5 part of it cannot hang more. If you hang more, it will slip down, it will come down. If you hang less, it will stay comfortably on the table. If you increase the coefficient of friction of the between the surface and the chain, again some more part can be made to be hanged. So let's see the option getting 20%. So the right answer is option number A, that is 20%. B 25 no, C 35 no, D 15 no. All are incorrect. This is how we have to solve this question. I believe that you have learned a lot with all these basic questions. Already we have taken more time. I believe that this exercise will be quite helpful to you all in your preparation for NEET examination. We have some more questions to carry on with more questions. I will catch you all in the next class from question number 6 to 10. Till the time, I thank you all for joining me and wish you all the very best.